He's actually so incredibly ancient that he knew the Kremlin Führer back when he was still pretending to be a Democrat.
What is this? Have they completely lost their minds or what? It's just unbelievable.
Just like his balding boss in his chair, or rather in his stall, he's been there for over 20 years.
You know, I'm actually a horse. A shapeshifter.
Once a respected and influential diplomat who ruined his own reputation, obediently washing Puilos's dirty laundry. But
you could never make my husband do the laundry.
Yeah, Ascent would make him do it.
A showy traditionalist, a devoted family man, a script carrier, and just a God-fearing Christian.
Sergey Viktorovich Lavrov, who is the Distinguished Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, is hereby awarded the prestigious Order of the Holy Prince Alexander Nevsky, First Class, by the Russian Orthodox Church.
In reality, an adulterer, clumsily hiding his mistress, or rather, even his second family.
A business trip to a diplomatic mission, yes, that's exactly what it says, a business trip at the age of just 13.
A debauchee and libertine who happily spends time on luxurious yachts in the company of powerful oligarchs and high-class prostitutes.
Nice work.
The living embodiment of Russian diplomacy and notorious arrogance. In other words, a boor and a lout, concealing himself behind diplomatic protocols, official suits and ties. One of the main accomplices of the infamous bunker villain who is actively promoting war on the international stage.
So, a ceasefire right now would mean only one thing: that a huge part of Ukraine would currently remain under the control of the Nazi regime.
A loyal, proven, and consistently reliable puppet of the vile little Putin, who has thoroughly discredited himself to such an extent that his master could easily throw him out like trash at any moment, or maybe even out the window.
Then tell me, what advice or recommendation can you perhaps give in this situation, please?
A hypocrite, manipulator, cynical liar, and war criminal who has been responsible for Russia's foreign policy for over 20 years.
So it's you that everyone is cursing. It's you who are to blame for everything.
A cowardly opportunist and careerist who figured it out even in his youth. The USSR is a multinational state where everyone is equal, but still, Russians are more equal than others.
I am Russian.
But let's not really kid ourselves.
Kalantarian or Kalantarov, that is the real surname of the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry. His father is a Georgian Armenian, and Lavrov himself is from Tbilisi. Sergey's childhood was spent on Ararat Street in the Armenian district of the city. Over time, the family ended up in the city of Noginsk in the Moscow region and later moved to Moscow, where Sergey's far-sighted mother, an employee of the USSR Ministry of Foreign Trade, enrolled her son in a school with advanced English studies, which Lavrov successfully graduated from, earning a silver medal.
I don't speak any languages, Your Honor.
It would seem all doors to the country's top universities were open to such a talented boy. That's true, but not to the elite ones. Especially not the Institute of International Relations. The boy's Caucasian roots could have put an end to his future brilliant diplomatic career. And so, not to tempt fate, Sergey Kalantarian became Lavrov, taking his mother's suitably traditional Russian surname. I'm narrow-minded. So just as with his very birth, Sergey owed his entry into diplomatic life to his mother. After her son graduated from MGIMO, it was she, using her connections in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, who helped Sergey get a job at the Soviet Foreign Ministry.
It will be them, not these, who put us in the defendant's seat, especially you diplomats.
Just a few years later, Lavrov would receive his first significant position at the USSR's mission to the UN. The collapse of the Soviet Union would hardly affect Sergey's career. He would automatically transition from a Soviet diplomat to a Russian one. Although, judging by the sweater Lavrov wore when he showed up in Alaska almost 35 years after the collapse of the evil empire, he still seems to be nostalgic for the socialist prison camp.
Sergey Viktorovich, is this your first time in Alaska? Twins, could you please tell us, is it your first? I've been here before, I have. Do you like it?
There was absolutely nothing imperial about it at all. There was no discussion or talk whatsoever of any attempts to revive imperial thinking, as some people claim.
It was in the USA, on enemy soil, deep behind enemy lines, that the first daughter, Ekaterina, was born to the Russian ultra-patriot from his official wife, Maria Lavrova. For a long time, with all his might, Sergei would pretend to be a true, upstanding family man and proclaim traditional values at every turn. But no matter how long you twist the rope, the end will show. Over time, journalists saw through the charade and discovered his second unofficial family, Lavrov's. But we'll talk about this corrupting influence of the West a bit later.
A little about myself. Split personality, constant nonsense. Erotomania.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, in Yeltsin's new Russia, Lavrov becomes the permanent representative of the Russian Federation to the UN and Security Council. Sergey Viktorovich serves in this role for over 10 years, until 2004, when Putin appoints him Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Weren't you warned that I suffer from all kinds of nervous and mental illnesses?
The connections he built in New York and his extensive diplomatic experience did their job. On the international stage, Lavrov became a highly respected figure. At that time, few were able to see the lame nag and the dashing Bucephalus. The first warning signs that revealed the diplomat's true rude nature rang out in 2008, when during a conversation with the British minister, the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry got personal.
The Daily Telegraph described how, in 2008, the minister, in a phone conversation with the UK Foreign Secretary, spoke in an aggressive tone and used obscene language. Who are you to fucking lecture me? Who are you to tell me what to do?
You'd think that for any normal diplomat, such rude communication would be unacceptable, but not for the head of foreign affairs of Russia's ignorant little czar. For a St. Petersburg thug, being a boorish diplomat isn't a drawback. If anything, it's the opposite.
The streets of Leningrad taught me one rule. If a fight is truly inevitable, you have to strike first.
And not for nothing, Lavrov is the most resilient of Putin's ministers. A bunker dweller with a criminal past, he likes that his country's diplomacy is done in a way and language he understands.
To use slang, but still we have this saying. A guy said, a guy did it, right?
After landing the position of foreign minister, and with it unlimited influence, Lavrov, just like most top officials in the Russian Federation, set about improving his own personal life and well-being. No, not the lives of ordinary Russians, but his own. And also those of his numerous relatives and mistresses.
I can't believe it. Really? Such crocodile appetites.
For many years, Lavrov's private life, just like that of Russia's main Führer Putler, was almost a state secret. His official wife Maria and daughter Ekaterina lead very private lives. The head of the family made sure they had cushy positions, and so I bought their silence. And the second one, to my real but unofficial family.
This is truly a lot of money and a lot of trust. Young men.
Lavrov's mistress, or rather his real but unofficial wife, is called Svetlana Polyakova. Journalists from the Alexei Navalny Foundation claim that they have been together for more than 20 years. It is Svetlana who is regarded in the highest circles of Russian politics, and in fact, in the foreign ministry as the only wife of the head. The woman is present at many official events, up to and including meetings with the Russian dictator. Thanks to Lavrov, a wide circle of Svetlana Polyakova's family constantly uses government planes as if they were their own private tour bus.
Not only the mistress is taken to the most important interstate negotiations, but also her mother and daughter. And in addition, an 18-year-old niece mistress of Lavrov travels the world on behalf of the foreign ministry. Her name is Valeria Polyakova. She flew to Azerbaijan on a foreign ministry plane as an accompanying family member. In March 2019, she flew with him to Vienna. And in December 2016, she flew to Hamburg on Lavrov's plane. On a business trip to a diplomatic mission. That's exactly what it says. On a business trip at the age of 13.
Polyakova owns a 260 square meter apartment in the center of Moscow, a dacha in the Moscow region, and an impressive collection of cars. The minister didn't neglect Svetlana's daughter either. her 22-year-old stepson Ippolini. In the most prestigious district of London, Lavrov bought an apartment. Its value is over £4 million sterling.
Remember, gentlemen, this country will, as we all know, be ruined by corruption and...
Still, at whose expense is Sergey Viktorovich living it up? After all, the minister's official salary wouldn't even be enough to buy jewelry for Svetlana, his mistress.
Just give.
Could you please give me my money now? Thank you. I'm really very poor.
It turns out Lavrov is the personal escort of billionaire minister Oleg Deripaska. For the oligarch, having trouble getting an American visa is no big deal. He simply sends his errand boy using his connections. The foreign ministry steps in to resolve the issue. Western sanctions against Deripaska's company and Lavrov. He throws himself into the fray, publicly denouncing his opponents and calling their actions Russophobia, reminiscent of genocide. In return, Deripaska pays for all the whims of his pet minister, including vacations on a luxury yacht that costs about $500,000 a week to rent. He throws in some cash for private jet travel and allocates funds to the minister's family as well, for Lavrov to buy up elite real estate in currently decadent Europe.
When Deripaska's company had a conflict with the authorities in Guinea, where he has bauxite and aluminum production, Lavrov rushed there personally to sort things out. And he got what he wanted. Using his status, he met with the president of Guinea and resolved all of Deripaska's problems. Well, it wasn't all for nothing after all. After all, Deripaska has been taking his family on vacations for years.
Deripaska also has business interests in Jamaica. There too, Lavrov is lobbying on his behalf. He secured preferences for Rusal in alumina mining.
But all this, as they say, is just family business. But what about Lavrov's main area of professional activity? On the international stage. Here, things are pretty bleak for Sergey. After the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Kremlin's talking horse completely lost it. All remnants of his former authority are gone.
If I remember correctly, though I might be mistaken, but I think Hitler also had Jewish blood. That means absolutely nothing. We have long since... We've heard the wise Jewish saying that the most passionate anti-Semites are usually, as is often observed, Jews themselves. In
his hatred for Ukrainians, Lavrov has lied and tangled himself up so much that he managed to deeply offend Jews as well, for which, as a result, his master Putin himself was forced to apologize personally. All in all, the once all-powerful minister of a mighty country has become an outcast and a laughingstock for everyone. You know, the war that we are trying to stop is not one that we began or wanted. It was started against us, and those responsible have used the Ukrainian people in this conflict, making them suffer as a result. Our intention has always been to bring an end to the fighting and to restore peace, not only for ourselves but also for those who have been caught in the middle. We are committed to doing everything we can to stop this war and to protect everyone affected by it. What real difference does it make? Thought Lavrov. After all, Joachim Ribbentrop's ultimate end was no better than that of Joseph Goebbels's.
Among the values that Ukraine promotes under Zelensky, let me remind you, are also the values of Nazism.
Karma is an inescapable thing. According to independent journalists, 75-year-old Lavrov has begun to experience serious health problems. And the horse, racing against Don Don, gallops confidently and swiftly. To hell. The first symptoms of the chief diplomat of the swamp's illness were detected back in 2022 during his visit to Bali. That was where the G20 summit was held. According to Russian media, information spread about Lavrov being hospitalized in a local hospital. As a result, the foreign ministry's press drunkard Maria Zakharova hurriedly rushed to deny everything and published a video supposedly showing her healthy boss. But the sight of a gaunt Sergey Viktorovich only fueled suspicions. Well, and
for about 10 years now, they've been writing that our president is ill. This is, in fact, a game that's nothing new in politics.
Now, information is currently being widely circulated all over Russian telegram channels about the possible demise of the old nag.
Putin was advised to put Lavrov in prison for treason. The head of the foreign ministry is upset and afraid that a missile will kill him. In
the Kremlin jar of spiders, Lavrov has plenty of enemies, and it seems they've sensed that the old man isn't what he used to be. And in Putin's criminal circle, they know exactly what to do with worn-out horses.
Worn-out horses get shot after all, don't they?
Be that as it may, the days of the aging, increasingly frail old man who currently occupies the minister's chair are slowly coming to an end. The only real question that remains is whether President Putin will allow his loyal, long-serving old steed to retire honorably for health reasons, or perhaps following a common and well-known tradition among the Russian elite, the one who knows too much will, quite suddenly, fall out of a Moscow high-rise window.
Yet another mysterious death. In Moscow, the vice president of Transneft, Andrei Badalov, has died. According to Telegram channels close to law enforcement, he fell from the balcony of a 17th floor apartment on Rubliovskoye Highway.
I want to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated manner to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. We do not aim to mislead anyone in any way, but simply wish to emphasize humor and lightheartedness. Please take this with a smile and a sense of fun. The elder among the security officials and a very dangerous man. He is part of the inner circle of people who have direct access to Putin.
To ensure the effective prevention of criminal encroachments on the safety of the population, with particular attention to preventing acts such as sabotage and terrorist attacks.
A man who keeps the entire Kremlin security apparatus in his grip and controls all law enforcement agencies of the Russian Federation.
With the support of the collective West, the increasingly neo-narcissistic Kiev regime, and rampant Russophobia currently.
The chief Russian security officer and the main ideological inspirer of the invasion of Ukraine. Since 2014,
according to the Kiev authorities in Ukraine, as of the latest reports, it is estimated that approximately 17,000 civilians have been killed. Among them, around 400 were children. More than 32,000 people have been wounded.
He is sometimes referred to as both the Grey Cardinal and a potential successor to Putin.
How should we view this?
He and the bunker dweller are not just friends. They are like-minded individuals. Nikolai Patrushev is not an ordinary puppet. He is the right hand of the puppeteer, who also pulls the strings of others himself. You can judge the extent of Patrushev's inadequacy by a phrase of his.
Senile facts and historical evidence indicate that the ongoing effort to push Russia away from the strategically important Black Sea coast has, for a considerable period of time, traditionally been viewed in Anglo-Saxon policy as one of the most significant and key objectives.
He is one of the main members of Putin's clan and uses the FSB and other special services as servants of this clan.
Actually, this is our response to their actions. But what can they do? They'll just accuse us again as usual. But we are responding to their actions.
Patrushev and Putin knew each other since their school years and may have even sat at the same desk. Later, both ended up in the Leningrad branch of the KGB of the USSR. When the indestructible Union collapsed in the 1990s, many KGB officers found themselves cast aside.
There you have gray hair in your beard, and a devil in your rib, truly.
At that time, Patrushev was stuck in Karelia, quietly doing low-profile behind-the-scenes work. But Putin, who was already steadily climbing the career ladder of the new government, didn't forget about his old buddy. He helped him move to Moscow and opened the doors of the Kremlin for him. First, the presidential administration, then the post of FSB chief, which he held from 1999 to 2008, taking over from his friend.
Colonel Putin briefly handed over the post.
Colonel General accepted the post.
Within just the first few months after being appointed director, Patrushev managed to become known throughout the country. It was from him that Russia learned about the Ryazan sugar, which went down in history. As a symbol of falsification and the dirty games of the Russian special services, when any means are justified for a criminal goal, including the murder of their own peaceful citizens.
First of all, it was not an explosion. Secondly, it was not prevented. And I think the operation was not carried out very clearly. It was an exercise, there was sugar there.
The operation in Ryazan was part of a planned provocation. Its goal was to legitimize the start of the Second Chechen War.
To follow the terrorists everywhere. At the airport. Excuse me, but even in the toilet, we'll catch them and take them out in the restroom.
Behind the Chechen wars, political assassinations of opponents, and interference in the affairs of other states, the shadow of Nikolai Patrushev is always looming.
On behalf of the President of Russia, we will carefully discuss the important issue related to ensuring anti-terrorist security of critically important and potentially dangerous facilities.
Since then, Nikolai Platonovich has become the keeper of Putin's main and bloodiest secrets, the kind that aren't spoken of aloud even at Lubyanka.
We have forgotten no one and nothing.
In the 2000s, when Putin's second presidential term was coming to an end, this was repeatedly voiced. There was a theory that it would be Patrushev who would temporarily replace the dictator. But at that time, Putin bet on Medvedev, seeing him as an utterly pitiful creature who would obediently return the position back.
With no statute of limitations, we will know all of them by name. We will search for them everywhere. Wherever they hide, we will find them. In
the era of late Putin, Patrushev headed the Secretariat of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. It was in this role that he became one of the most influential pillars of the Putin regime.
Western countries are constantly and steadily increasing the use of the full and diverse range of hybrid tools and methods at their disposal, all of which are specifically intended to impose and promote liberal values and principles. Financing of non-systemic opposition, incitement of interethnic discord and separatist sentiments.
Gradually, Patrushev turned into a kind of Suslov of the new era. And
by the way, what always set him apart was that he never bowed down, not even to his superiors. He always maintained a certain distance and, most importantly, a sense of dignity.
He had direct access to Putin's ear and conveyed his ideas to him. Everything that Patrushev said, Putin would repeat after some time.
Everything that happened with Crimea was, in fact, the result of illegal actions undertaken by certain political forces in Ukraine, which ultimately led to a coup d'etat. As a result, Crimea joined Russia as a consequence of the will of the people living in that territory.
The war against Banderites and fascism, invented to justify aggression, was largely his idea.
Our relationship is valuable in itself and is not subject to external circumstances.
Ideas are one thing, but money comes first. Patrushev's shady dealings were always very well paid. The longer Patrushev worked in government service, the richer he became.
And they are all about the money. As they say, when you see money, don't waste time. Strike while the iron is hot and don't leave the cash register.
From the year 2010 to the year 2021, the Patrushev couple earned a total of almost $6 million. They are the owners of a spacious country house located in a protected pine forest reserve. Its current market value is estimated to be almost 2 billion rubles.
A loss of 13 was prevented as a result.
Judging by their salaries, the entire Patrushev family would have to save for about 60 years to afford such luxury. They even dug a bunker there for Patrushev.
Of course, a comprehensive approach is needed. We're talking about a big project.
Nikolai Patrushev's younger son, Dmitry, is just like his father. He also graduated from the FSB Academy and is also raking in money by the shovelful. He is an advisor to the head of Rosneft, Igor Sechin.
Putin awards Patrushev Jr. with the prestigious Order of Honor for his dedicated labor achievements and many years of diligent work.
Has he done anything for the oil industry in Russia? No. But after coming under US sanctions in 2022, Patrushev Jr. continued to develop the Arctic, one of Russia's most resource-rich regions.
It has become increasingly commonplace to make baseless and unfounded accusations, and to interfere in the affairs of sovereign states. The use of military force or unilateral sanctions against them.
Of course, the Patrushev family hides their wealth. If you look into the Rosregister, you won't find their names there. In the Federal Tax Service database, they even created an alter ego for Nikolai Patrushev, Lukov Evgeny Fedorovich. The family makes blood money everywhere they can get their hands on it. For example, in Russian rocket engineering. Unlike the RFI, such activities could not go unnoticed in the West. That's why since 2018, the Patrushevs have been under personal sanctions. However, this doesn't stop Nikolai Platonovich's family from literally bathing in gold. They have everything in this life. The only thing Patrushev still hasn't gotten is the coveted seat of the Russian president. But the years go by and the old friend just won't kick the bucket. That's why a more likely and acceptable scenario for the Patrushevs has become not the father's presidency, but that of the son, Dmitry. In
the near future, actually as soon as this week, we expect that we should be receiving eggs from Azerbaijan.
Patrushev Jr. speaks several languages. He headed the Ministry of Agriculture of the Russian Federation for 6 years and is generally considered a very promising and proper comrade.
First of all, it's important to understand that ensuring food security is, in fact, a continuous and ongoing process.
So what if he hasn't accomplished anything all this time? For agriculture? But he did receive an in absentia suspicion in Ukraine for the mass theft of grain from temporarily occupied territories. Starting from 1922, they were stealing it by the ton and exporting it through the Mariupol port. His father's connections and lobbying allowed Dmitry Nikolaevich to build a brilliant career while also holding the rank of FSB officer. In
1920, they managed to maintain a high pace of foreign trade. The plan amounts to $25 billion. As of today, it has already been exceeded. The export figure has reached $26.5 billion.
By the way, here is an interesting detail. Dmitry is, in fact, the only one of the 3 so-called princes of Putin's Russia, the sons of Putin's closest friends, Ivanov, Sechin, and Patrushev, who is still alive today.
A coincidence? I don't think so.
These were mysterious deaths. In the year 2014, at the age of 38 years old, Alexander Ivanov, the son of Putin's powerful chief of staff, died suddenly and unexpectedly. Then in the year 2024 in Moscow, the so-called second prince Ivan Sechin, son of the influential head of Rosneft, also dies suddenly at the young age of 35 years old.
For this to happen, continuous work must be carried out consistently.
The ambulance didn't reach one, it was sent to the dacha, and the other drowned in
Dubai. This service is currently not available or active in Dubai at this time, so you will not be able to access it here.
We're not hinting that this is a hint, but Patrushev is the senior master to arrange the liquidation of those who are undesirable. In this case, the scapegoats will bear the brunt. Behind almost all political assassinations sanctioned by the Kremlin, there is a clear looming Nikolai Platonovich. But even during the lengthy judicial investigation into the 2006 murder of former FSB officer Alexander Litvinenko, FSB chief Nikolai Patrushev was never found guilty.
He was brought to us presenting with symptoms of bone marrow failure.
He started losing his hair. When I came to visit him, he already looked like he does in that well-known newspaper photograph. That bed became his final refuge.
So far, nothing has been able to shake Patrushev's position. Like Putin, he has been in power for 25 years himself and has paved the way to the Moscow Olympus for his successors.
For me, very little is truly impossible in my view.
Dmitry Nikolaevich is living the good life. Both his wives, his ex and his current one, and his 6 children as well. Secretly owned estates, apartments, and land plots worth billions of rubles. It seemed like he had life in his pocket, but there's still a catch. Dima got addicted to drugs.
One of the most difficult in the country. So far, the region has not yet managed to achieve a truly significant reduction in the overall scale of drug use and drug distribution. In the
scandal involving the delivery of a large shipment of cocaine from Argentina to Russia via diplomatic channels in 2018, the plane belonging to Patrushev Sr. was mentioned.
The Russian and Argentine special services prevented the shipment to Moscow. Almost 400 kilograms of cocaine. A successful special operation by Russian and Argentine law enforcement agencies shut down a major drug trafficking route. The international special operation has already been called one of the largest in Russia's recent history.
This drug secret couldn't be kept hidden in the Kremlin, nor could the urgent evacuation. Dimochka was sent to China in 22 for treatment for his addiction to coconuts.
The volume of smuggled drug shipments is increasing from abroad.
Could it be that Junior's presidential career is over? Not necessarily. This is Russia, after all.
And thanks to the adoption of the winemaking law, now all our wine is made entirely from domestic grapes, carefully grown locally.
The father, in his own way, is atoning for his son's sins and trying to curry favor as much as possible. On February 21st, 2022, at the Security Council meeting, while others were in shock, fawning and mumbling something incoherent, Patrushev confidently and boldly called to defend the quasi-republics and attack Ukraine.
The people have already suffered enough, and it's simply just not possible to torment them any longer. Moreover, the fact that the Duma made such decisions is absolutely fair and truly justified. I also understand that we must fully support the decisions that the Duma recommends you as president to make, and indeed, I think that if we do this, we will be able to protect the people who live there, and we must genuinely care for them, because that is exactly what we should do as responsible individuals. And we will also provide them with the opportunity to work and live in peace and security. But I repeat, what is happening there is, in fact, one of the local conflicts that has been organized and influenced by the United States.
The Ukrainian prosecutor's office has charged Nikolai Patrushev with attempting to undermine the territorial integrity of Ukraine. The Hague has long been waiting for him, as has another even more terrible court. But these people do not believe in God. Their religion is money and power.
The greatness of Russia has always frightened Europe. That is why throughout history the goal of external enemies has always been the destruction of our state.
Moreover, Patrushev is not just another parrot repeating the mantras of the bunker's master. He is the main hawk in Putin's inner circle. It is he whom the Western press calls the ideological mastermind and almost the chief organizer of the invasion of Ukraine. According to numerous sources, it was he who, as early as the summer of 2021, was convincing Putin that war was inevitable and even beneficial, and that Russia should deliver a preemptive strike.
And it is important to foresee and prevent these situations in a timely manner. That is what we agreed upon. Negotiations must be held, but they must be held with the United States. Everyone else will generally do whatever the United States instructs or tells them to do, and NATO will do the same, as will the OSCE, the European Union, and so on, all following suit. That is why the main negotiator, the one we truly need to deal with, is the headquarters.
His deeply obsessive ideas that the whole world wants to attack Russia ultimately became the basis for the full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
In order to weaken Russia and divide our society, the Anglo-Saxons and their allies consistently employ various methods and means of destructive influence.
As one of Putin's closest associates, Patrushev monotonously works on the not-so-decisive Pinya. He paints for him a general picture of the world where there are enemies everywhere. It is Patrushev who slips Putin those very folders containing what he wants to see, but not the real state of affairs nor the truth about losses at the front. And he is not only an advisor, but also the chief executioner under the dictator. Those in the know say that it was Nikolai Patrushev who was behind the murder of Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Putin, the cook, not Putin's cook. He is, in fact, a member, well, all right, of a certain community. I'm not going to characterize it or describe it in any more detail. But since the early 1990s, he's been the same person, unchanged in his ways and behavior. Just like Giller, just like Patrushev, by the way, just like Sechin.
The old KGB man Nikolai Platonovich never really liked the semi-criminal boss of Wagner. Therefore, without any hesitation or second thought, he could have easily given the order to plant a bomb under the wing of the plane that was carrying Putin's former cook. Patrushev is constantly and perhaps even obsessively trying to show Putin his reliability and indispensability. But the truth is, in the year 2024, there was suddenly a significant glitch in the system that Putin's classmate had so carefully and meticulously built up over many long decades. The bunker dictator unexpectedly relieved his longtime partner in crime from the influential post of Secretary of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. He was pushed away from the trough. In return, the loyal dog got a symbolic bone and the laughable position of chairman of the Maritime Board. In short, Kolya was set afloat, or more precisely, flushed down the toilet. Well,
what about the parents? The parents, what about them?
Yes, formally Patrushev has the appropriate education. In the 1970s, he graduated from the Leningrad Shipbuilding Institute. But in reality, this is in fact a truly insulting downgrade in position and a humiliation.
He was kicked out.
Nikolai lost direct access to the president's ear, and most importantly, his influence over the security bloc. But the cunning Patrushev managed to find a way even here and took on the supervision of the Arctic issue, which is extremely important personally to Putin. Having never become the master of the Kremlin, the 74-year-old retired Grey Cardinal is now trying to become at least the master of the Arctic. He is establishing contacts with the Americans and is trying once again to make himself useful to the boss.
To officially award the prestigious medal for loyalty to the Russian Navy to the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. And you have verified it.
The loyal dog was kicked away from the table, its rations were significantly reduced, but it was not completely thrown out onto the street. After all, the old dog knows so many of his master's dirty secrets. So it's too early to write off the Patrushev clan. And perhaps it is this very family that already has that golden snuff box thoughtfully and carefully tucked away for the bunkered Tsar.
Now prove that you're a real man. Go and kill him.
I'd like to remind you that this video was created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form, to convey either a comedic or a dramatic effect in our message. We do not aim to mislead anyone in any way, but simply wish to emphasize the humor present. Please take this with a smile and a light heart.